Hello, everyone. This is what do we name this show? A look back in time.
Yeah.
That's what we named this one. This is SummerSlam 1996. I feel like we skipped quite a few shows, Charlie. Why did we skip quite a few shows?
Because we decided to focus on the big five rather than watching all the lackluster in your houses.
Yep.
Lack of better.
But we did skip King of the Ring.
Yes. Because that was
Uh,
not awful.
yeah, you guys wouldn't have enjoyed the King of the Ring show. Maybe you would have. Maybe you would have liked me suffering, Charlie's suffering. Um, just to kind of wrap it up for you guys. May 96 through this SummerSlam, not a whole lot went on. The feuds pretty much were stagnant. Austin won the King of the Ring, seemingly out of nowhere. It seemed like they had no idea who was going to win the King of the Ring after the curtain call incident with Triple H, and Triple H was scheduled to win
Yes.
prior to. So much so that usually the King of the Ring winner was catapulted to the main event scene seemingly like a month or two later. In SummerSlam 1996, Stone Cold Steve Austin, is on the free for all. He's not even on the real pay per view.
That big push.
Against Yokozuna. Over the hill, out of shape, Yokozuna. There was a big void on the roster. That was Bret Hart. Bret Hart was not around from WrestleMania 12 all the way to Survivor Series 1996.
Yep.
That was a big void. And also, you had some missteps. They signed Ultimate Warrior. And by SummerSlam 1996, seemingly if just a few months later, after he reappeared at WrestleMania 12, he was gone. He was out. They pulled Psycho Sid away from the softball field, and now he's back. It was a hodgepodge roster. They missed Hall, Nash, and Bret Hart at this time.
Yeah.
They seemingly lost all three all in one shot, and it affected their product. So let's get right into anything you wanted to mention about like any of the events that happened between.
Unless you wanted to quickly just go over Austin 316 declaration.
I think everyone knows that by now.
Hey, you never know. You never know that they know it came from King of the Ring.
Yes. So, rose-colored glasses would tell you that as soon as Austin cut that promo, it was firing on all cylinders. Although that promo was awesome, it took several months for him to actually gain the traction on the card. Which our next review, look back in time, will be Survivor Series 1996, where Bret Hart returns and he challenges Stone Cold Steve Austin to a match, which in many ways kickstarted a lot of the whole Attitude Era, to be honest with you. Their feud was a catalyst for the Attitude Era. And this was the Shawn Michaels title reign in a nutshell. He didn't have enough people to work with. They didn't have good opponents for him. Vader, we'll discuss more about Vader. This was not the same Vader. Although this match was, we'll get into the main event later, but we'll go over that. But SummerSlam 1996, Cleveland, Ohio, Gund Arena,
The brand new
brand new Gund Arena.
Gund Arena.
Commentary team of Perfect, Mr. Perfect, Vincent Kennedy McMahon, Jim Ross.
Good old Jim Ross.
How much cocaine was done at this announce table?
Why do you say that?
I don't know. I feel like cocaine was involved.
Oh, jeez.
Well,
Vince made it clear that he doesn't smoke cigars or drink, so
it's got to be something.
Maybe he did stick to cocaine. I don't know.
Booger sugar. Okay, so opening match, Savio Vega versus Owen Hart.
Owen was really their go-to guy for opening matches this year.
He was. Now, I watched a lot of 1996 as a kid. And I don't remember Savio Vega and Owen Hart ever having a feud at all. This was like one of those decisions where they're like, we need an opening match. And we'll put two of our better workers together, and that'll be the opening match.
Yeah.
Which is fine. But as we all know from, our many shows that we've done, I like a little storyline. There was no storyline here.
No.
The match was, I would be honest with you, this match could have been a little bit better. And I did not like the stereotype character that Savio Vega played. I did not realize how overly stereotypical his gimmick was. Cornette not at ringside with Owen. Clarence Mason at ringside. So this really starts the storyline where Mason becomes the manager of Owen and Bulldog. And Cornette basically, manages Vader only. Your thoughts on this match, and anything else overall?
It lacked story. It had Owen Hart's injury was basically the story of this match. And using the cast on his arm for the victory. It could have gone a little longer. It could have been a higher quality match. I'm surprised the chemistry was off a little bit between the two of them. You'd think that they'd have better chemistry in the ring, but Owen can't put on 5-star matches with everybody.
No. Have some Gatorade here.
Nice.
You had a backstage segment. Todd Pettingill interviews Mankind.
This was awesome.
Yeah. What did you feel about this segment? Besides awesome.
Mankind licking parts of the boiler room. Talk about a man who lived his character with Mankind. The squealing that he'd do with the pitches with his voice when he hit certain ups and downs in the promo. Spot on.
Yeah.
Todd Pettingill was just creeped out the whole time.
Yeah.
It was a good promo. It was a good promo for what was to come with.
Yeah, I think Mankind in general, like this Mankind, is often overlooked. But I really enjoyed 1996 Mankind.
Yeah. His boiler room promos with the pet rat and everything. He really lived his character.
And we'll discuss later some of the missteps with his character, and we'll get into that.
Yeah.
I feel a sneeze coming on, so
Bear with you.
Okay. Maybe. Bear with me here, folks. At any time, a sneeze is coming. Fatal 4-Way. WWF. Elimination tag team match. You want to talk about a hodgepodge of...
This was sloppy.
Let's just throw shit at the wall and see if it sticks.
Yeah, this was really sloppy. And why on earth would they let Billy and Bart Gunn get in the ring against each other? That was the dumbest thing. I don't know.
They were already planting the seeds for a split between them, I guess. Although they were, I don't know.
It was lame. This
was really around the time where you could tell Vince McMahon hated tag team wrestling.
Yeah. There you go. Bless you.
Oh, another one. DJ Khaled. Uh-oh.
Oh, jeez. Live TV, folks.
Live. Well, recording. It'll be such a bitch to edit this out, so it's gonna have to stay. Honestly, the star of the tag team division from WrestleMania 12 through SummerSlam 1996 was Sunny.
Yeah.
She managed 3 of these tag teams in this match. I'm surprised she didn't manage the Rockers at some point. Could you imagine how much drugs and alcohol would have been involved with her and Marty Jannetty?
Oh, God. That would have been awful.
Man, I'm surprised currently in 2022 that Jannetty and Sunny aren't an item. Like, they don't have, like, an OnlyFans with them too. Man, Sunny in 1996 was what dreams were made of.
Yep.
Sunny in 2022 is what nightmares are made of.
Car crash.
Jeez. She's just... I feel bad, but she's doing it. She's done it to herself repeatedly at this point.
Of course.
Yeah. Looking back at Summer, they had the whole "we do community service" thing. Then they had... I can't talk more about the tag match. It was a waste.
It was
definitely the worst part of the show. I
beg to differ that it was the worst part of the show.
It was one of...
I think Bulldog and Sid get worst part of the show, but
yeah, we'll get into that one too. That's next, actually. Why did they continually put a mic in front of Sid?
So he can angry promo scream.
Oh, God.
The man, the master of the universe.
You would think a match between Bulldog and Sid would be would actually be decent.
All you had was Bulldog stalling suplex, and that was about it.
They were supposed to have a feud in WCW, but that didn't happen. So this was like something that WWF thought the fans wanted. And I think the fans did want it, but not this.
No.
This was just... This is where you could tell Bulldog was not the same Bulldog.
No.
He was starting to wind down again. The rigors of the road did not do wonders for Bulldog. And it's a shame because at one time I thought he was one of the best workers in the company, especially like 1995 Bulldog was really good.
Yeah.
Then we got to 96 and
Not the same.
it just fell on his face. Really bad.
Do you blame booking or do you blame him?
I blame him. I blame him. I blame his demons. I blame.
Now, I thought the demons came after a WCW injury.
I think he always had demons.
You think so?
Mm-hmm. There's also the effects of steroids.
Yeah.
You know, he was getting really bloated. The bloated Bulldog.
You really realized that in 97.
Yeah.
In 97, he's completely bloated.
Yeah. It's crazy to think that Sid would go from having one of the worst matches to being in the title match a few months later.
Yeah.
The bigger question is, I've always said that Sid should be in the Hall of Fame, but I don't think he should be in the Hall of Fame. He never had a sustained run in WWF or WCW. It seems like Sid's first run with WWF was like a year, and his second run was like a year.
Yeah.
Yeah, did he have high-profile matches? Yeah, he did. Why? Because of his size and his look and all of that. Did he win the WWF title? Yeah, he won it twice. And I think both times he won it because people didn't want to drop the belt to someone else.
Probably.
No, it's true because Survivor Series 96, they were supposed to run back Vader and Michaels. That doesn't happen. Vader was supposed to win the belt and then lose it back to Michaels at Royal Rumble. That doesn't happen. And we'll discuss why that doesn't happen when we get to the main event here. And then WrestleMania 13, they were supposed to run back Shawn and Brett for the title. Shawn loses his smile. They have the fatal four-way in your house. Brett wins the belt, then drops it the next day to Sid. And then your main event is Sid and Taker at Mania. So both times he kind of just happened to be right place, right time for his two title reigns.
Yeah. I have a hatred for Sid for different reasons. Aside from me thinking that he's not that great. I went to an indie show and I had the ticket stub from Michael's Sid at Survivor Series 96. And he no-showed the indie show. The promoter, he was supposed to be the biggest draw on the card. And the promoter actually called him on speakerphone with the microphone. And he didn't pick up, and the whole crowd chanted like "You're an asshole" on his voicemail.
Wow. He was probably playing softball.
Probably.
It's crazy though. The fans did love him. I don't know why.
He had something.
He had a unique look. That was his whole deal.
Yeah.
Speaking of unique look, Wildman Mark Marrow and Sable. Oof, Sable. All the way live in 1996. Man. Especially Marlena, man, she was underrated.
Yeah,
Marlena with Goldust. What a
Marlena isn't
pairing.
talked about enough.
What was that?
Marlena isn't talked about enough.
No. Um, I at least this had some storyline behind it.
Yeah,
Um,
the Mankind spot was great.
yeah. Um, this match was okay. Could have been better.
The whole event could have been better. The boiler room match was basically it when it comes to the quality of the card.
Well, Mero was like, I don't know. He was. I can't even put into words disappointment that Mark Mero was. He was brought in with all this fanfare, a huge push, and I think he just put too much pressure on himself and couldn't live up to expectations.
Yeah,
And it was obvious around this time they were going to push Sable over him,
mm-hmm.
even though he's the wrestler, right? And I think all of that, combination of that, really got to him.
He had a beautiful shooting star press.
Wow, that thing was a beauty. And even when he stopped using that and he went to that TKO finisher,
Yeah,
I like that finisher too.
yeah.
But even Gold Dustin Rhodes, right? He wasn't on the same level, and you don't remember this because you didn't watch WCW. But in WCW, Dustin was such a high level performer, and it kind of fell by the wayside here in WWF. Like he was not the same performer in the ring. His obviously his Goldust character was great and it was ahead of its time, but his in ring work was just not the same. Maybe that has to do with putting on more weight, whatever the case may be. But just in my opinion, he couldn't put on the same matches.
Oh, okay.
Um, yeah. What do you have to say about this?
Like I said, Mark Morrow had a beautiful shooting star press in it. I love the Mankind spot where he came out and just started shouting "mommy" at Sable. Uh, the match overall could have been better, could have been worse, much like this card. Yeah. Oh, and Mr. Perfect tried to break character for Goldust. He's like, "Yeah, isn't Goldust from Cleveland?" And Vince is like, "No, I believe he's from Hollywood."
Um, you want to talk about ridiculous? Let's talk about this next segment that takes place. Got to blow my nose there. Uh, Oddman Johnson
Oh boy.
out with an injury, internal bleeding. How bad was this Farouk Assad gimmick that they straddled?
Was he supposed to be a gladiator? Like, what was he supposed to even be? What was the helmet? The
The
the,
penis
the
head
theme
helmet.
song, the theme song that sounded like a long, weird ringtone.
First of all, the helmet looked like a penis head.
Yes,
Uh, they had him with Sonny.
which made no sense.
Made absolutely no sense. And this is freaking Ron Simmons. This is Ron Simmons.
Slap in the face.
The first African American world champion in the history of pro wrestling. Well, modern pro wrestling. You go there. There was other African American champions, but for Ron Simmons won the WCW title, and he was a big name. Ron Simmons was also one of the best college football players of all time. WWF has this freaking thing with changing people's names because they want to copyright it.
Mm-hmm.
As soon as he debuted as Farouk, I said, this isn't going to go anywhere. This is going to be a letdown because the name is just, the name and the gimmick was just horrible. Absolutely horrible. So they announced the tournament. And we'll get into the tournament at some point when we recap Survivor Series 1996. What's your thoughts here?
Now,
Ahmed Johnson was horrible.
I completely forgot that Ahmed Johnson won that battle royal for number one contendership for the world championship. Which, why are you pushing Ahmed Johnson that much that he had the Intercontinental title and won a number one contendership to the world championship? I don't know who looks at Ahmed Johnson's wrestling and goes, that man deserves to look like he has a shot at both belts.
They looked at his promo ability. Oh, wait, no, he didn't have that either. So, I mean, this is where Vince was really infatuated with these, and he always has been, with these muscle dudes. And,
but to have him be a potential double belt wrestler?
I don't know.
I don't know either.
Let's show the audience Farouk gladiator gimmick picture. Hold on.
Okay.
Look at that. This is horrible. Let's see if we can get this.
Oh, it's just theme song. So bad.
Now, who in their right mind greenlit this? Oh, yeah, it was Vince McMahon. It was Vince McMahon.
Of course.
Could you imagine creative services? They probably drew up this gimmick as a freaking joke, and somehow this made the final cut. How is that possible?
Vince is probably just like, we got him to wear the penis helmet. Ha!
Ha!
Told you guys it would work. Ha!
He's got a penis on his head. Ha!
It would work, pal.
Thank God they did a pivot of his character and somewhat helped Farouk.
Yeah.
But we'll talk more in long form about Farouk, Ron Simmons, the Nation character, obviously the Acolytes, APA. To me, they could have always done a little bit more with him, but he did have a long run with the company.
Yeah.
In spite of this. So, penis hats off to him. And you want to talk? I totally forgot this was on the card, even though I watched this show like 3 or 4 times in the last 2 or 3 weeks.
What's that?
Oh, God. Do we have to go over this?
I believe so. It was on the card. That's what we're here for.
Jerry the King Lawler versus Jake the Snake Roberts.
This would not fly nowadays. This was such an... I hope they paid Jake the Snake Roberts tons for this.
They probably paid him in alcohol, unfortunately, because that's how diabolical Vince McMahon is. Get into it. Get into it, Charlie. Tell
It
me.
was horrible.
I,
Jake the Snake Roberts. What?
and that's probably not the worst part. The worst part is Mark Henry's involvement in this.
Oh, jeez.
How bad was he on commentary? It was
He,
just
he
awful.
was close to that Baltimore guy on commentary.
Art Rudy.
Yeah, he's like, "Oh, everything turns out to be a joke."
Oh man.
I don't. Mark Henry
First of all,
anywhere near this match.
Jake the Snake Roberts. You want to talk about gimmicks? They gave him the born again Christian gimmick, which apparently was his idea, but it was apparent that Jake the Snake was not sober at all. And then they play out on screen his lack of sobriety, and then on commentary try to defend it. Can you explain to me what the hell is going on here?
This was all over the place.
Don't blame this on Vince Russo. Vince Russo was not part of creative at this time.
No.
So this was not a Vince Russo idea.
This has been Vince McMahon idea.
This was a Vince McMahon idea. Jerry Lawler wins. This was past the point where Lawler should have been in the ring.
Yeah.
Like, the expiration date was over with Lawler being involved in WWF matches. His role should have only been commentary at this point. And I know Jerry the King Lawler still wrestles today, but the WWF version of Jerry the King Lawler, to me, his ideal role is on commentary.
Yeah.
And this was awful. This was the worst. This was worse than Bulldog and Sid. This takes the cake.
This told a story, though. A very effed up story, but at least this told a story. I'm still sticking with Bulldog Sid being the worst part of this card. Took a bottle of Jameson to the throat.
Jim Ross had the best line during this match.
What?
Well, after he said, "That was an athletic contest we just witnessed." It's like, JR,
Not by any means.
no shit, Sherlock. And then we had Bob Backlund campaigning for president.
Of course.
Then, I'll be honest with you. I don't know if I've watched a match more in my lifetime. Well, this has to be my top 10 matches I've ever watched. The Undertaker, Mankind, Boiler Room Brawl. I was fascinated with this match.
In top 10 matches of all time?
That I've watched. It's not in my
top 10 okay.
No.
For as many times as you've watched it.
10-year-old, 11-year-old me, I watched this on repeat on VHS. Okay. I would watch it and then rewind, watch it again. Holy crap. What a concept.
Mm-hmm.
30 minutes long.
Yep.
Non-stop action.
Prime storytelling.
Mick Foley will do anything to get over. There was no bump he wasn't willing to take.
No.
The only thing that bothered me was like the whole stipulation. It kind of telegraphed the finish. That they had to go in the ring and get the urn.
Yes and no.
Now, we're the
10-year-old
same
you,
age.
10-year-old you didn't know Paul Bearer was gonna stab Taker in the back.
I was pretty hip. I was pretty.
Uh,
I was. No, I was. I was shocked that I almost called him Paul Heyman Bearer. Wow, Paul. Paul Bearer turns on the Undertaker. Uh, they had to come up with something for the Undertaker,
yeah,
and getting rid of Paul in many ways helped the Undertaker because now the Undertaker didn't have the mouthpiece with him, so he shedded the mouthpiece. But then on the other hand, now Mankind has a mouthpiece, and I don't think that helped Mankind.
no, Mankind definitely didn't need a mouthpiece.
Um, because he was doing so well with his scary promos, and
Uh-huh.
as you said earlier in the show, that in many ways this helped the Undertaker and hurt Mankind. And I think this
Yeah,
set back Mankind until King of the Ring 1997, in all honesty.
you think it was that much of a backpedal for Mankind?
Oh, yeah. It took until his vignette, not his vignettes, his sit down interview with JR to kind of restart Mankind.
Wow.
Because then it became the Paul Bearer stable group that became Mankind, the Executioner, Invader.
The Executioner.
And then the pairing of Vader and Mankind was just, it blew my mind because Vader took freaking Mankind's ear off in
Yeah.
Germany in 93 or whatever. So
Of course, another thing that we didn't think of at the time, but
I did. I did. I watched
okay.
WCW. You didn't. You didn't. So your thoughts on this match? Obviously, this is the overlooked match. Their most talked about match is obviously King of the Ring
Yeah.
1998 for many reasons. But man, this was a great match.
The two elbow drops alone that Foley did were fantastic. Fantastic spots in this match. Just hard hitting brutality. It was just
How about the ladder spot onto the concrete?
yeah. It was
This
just
was probably the best shape that Foley was in. Like
yeah.
1996, Mankind was phenomenal. And we're going to skip over In Your House Mind Games, but
But go back and watch that. If only for Michael's Mankind. Go and watch that event.
that match is one of the best matches
Absolutely.
ever. Ever.
Jumping over the table always sticks with me in that.
So, some good came out of this for Foley,
Yeah.
but then it just goes downhill from there. In my opinion, and if you look back at the proof is in the pudding. He kind of gets depushed. Taker goes on this meteoric rise back into main event Taker, which culminates in WrestleMania 13, where he wins the WWF Championship. And it also starts the wheels in motion of a very long term story between Bearer and Taker of Kane.
Yep.
the hints, oh, your brother. We're like, The Undertaker has a brother. Yeah, Kane is coming. Kane is coming. That was teased pretty much from I and I this is just me off the top of my head. Correct me if I'm wrong. WrestleMania 13 time until he appears in October at the In Your House event. No Mercy.
Wow.
So a very long time.
Yeah.
This Undertaker, from this point through his corporate ministry run, probably my second favorite Taker run.
That's fair.
My first favorite run with Taker is going to be after WrestleMania 20 through his match, the second match with Michaels. I lumped that all together. What did you think overall, as far as like final thoughts on this match, the competitors, Paul Bearer, any tidbits?
This is the standout match of the card on SummerSlam '96. Storytelling was phenomenal. Hard hitting brutality had its spots. It was fantastic.
Yep. Yep. And this is long-term storytelling because for it started like they didn't say anything about Kane at this point, but this led to a 14-month storyline that led into
Damn.
Kane. So this was the most important moment probably in Undertaker's career in many ways. This whole match and storyline. So backstage segment, interview, Cornette talking for Vader. What was the infatuation with Jim Cornette and fat, overweight main event people?
Alan, I don't know.
Why? I don't know.
Why what?
It just never felt right, Vader and WWF.
No. Which I didn't know until you told me he was injured for most of his stay in WWE.
He was injured.
WWF at this point.
There was also a lack of confidence. Another thing I didn't really enjoy.
What's that?
Jose Lothario.
I knew you were going to say that.
What a terror. He did nothing.
They should have just left him as the coach for WrestleMania 12 and had him be there for that match because that was Shawn's shining moment, and then be rid of him because there really was no purpose of having him stick around.
Just to collect a check, I guess.
Yeah.
This is like a Lanny Poffo Macho Man situation here. It seemed like these two. Well, it seemed like Michaels didn't want to work with Vader at all.
No, you could tell when Michaels doesn't want to work with guys.
He oversold a lot. And to be honest, it's not just a Michaels thing. There was a lot of people that didn't want to work with Vader because Vader worked a really stiff style in the ring. And for that matter, this has been on record. Vader didn't wash. I mean, he literally did not bathe or wash his ring gear. So he
Gross.
smelled horribly. So that
Gross.
doesn't help either. Um, the match, this match could have been so much better. This became the theme of the entire night of what ifs and what could have been. It's unfortunate, and we've said this on other pay-per-view shows involving Vader, but Vader in WCW was the man. He was the man. He was definitely not the man here. Charlie, your thoughts on this whole main event match?
I could have gone without the second disqualification. I think the point was made at the first one that they weren't there to win the match via disqualification.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no, wait. Well, one was count out and one was disqualification.
Something like that.
Yeah. I could have gone with just one of those that made it clear the first time. You could tell Sean didn't want to work with Vader. He was overselling a lot of his stuff. Yeah, it was just not the main event that fans deserved for this SummerSlam.
Yep. And it seemed like I talked about Vader lost his confidence, and it wasn't something that happened inside the ring. It's something that happened outside the ring. So Vader in 1995 was in WCW, and him and Paul Orndorff were at a bar, and they got into a fight at the bar in front of a lot of other wrestlers, and Paul Orndorff beat the crap out of Vader to the point that Vader was a bloody mess.
Oh, wow.
And Mick Foley on Foley's his podcast, who traveled with Vader in WWF and WCW, they were traveling buddies a lot, said that, his real name is Leon. He said Leon lost his confidence after that fight because he was embarrassed, and it just like it shook his confidence, and he can never get it back. And I believe him, because it definitely showed he was just not the same intimidator.
Gotcha.
And also, they booked Vader in many ways as a cowardly heel. He would run away.
Yeah.
The Vader in he would if there was security trying to stop him, refs trying to stop him, he would push them, shove them. Nope, they went cowardly heel with him. They ruined it. After this match, apparently this is Michaels said, I'm not working with him again. Set the wheels in motion for the main event push of Sid in his place. Any other thoughts on this match?
Not so much on this match as the event as a whole, but could you imagine buying tickets to this pay-per-view?
Can you imagine? Could you imagine buying this pay-per-view?
For the only, at least we got to see. I'll get to it. Could you imagine buying tickets for this pay-per-view and needing to watch on a monitor the only match worth watching?
Yeah.
I'd want my money back if I went to the SummerSlam, but at least at home we got to see the boiler room brawl.
Yes. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, the best match you had to watch on a video screen.
Yeah.
Clearly, this is the worst of their pay-per-views. This actually may be worse than King of the Ring 96.
I thought you were gonna say it was worse than SummerSlam 90. Was it 95? Diesel
Oh,
and
95 was bad too.
yeah,
This
yeah. At least I went to back good SummerSlams, 97 and 98. This was back to back shit fests.
is really bad. This was one of the worst SummerSlams of all time. 95 and 96 probably take the cake.
I believe it.
In other news, and very happy to report this, we're over 500 subscribers,
We are over 500. I was so happy to see that.
which is awesome. Yesterday was the 2-month anniversary of content actually being produced on the channel. So to have over 500 subs in 2 months is really it's a blessing. It's awesome. We appreciate it. If you're watching this and you haven't subbed, we promise you, there will be better pay-per-views that we will review. If you have a recommendation of a pay-per-view, an event, or whatever you want us to look at, please comment down below. We appreciate it. Charlie, your words to the audience.
As always, like, comment, subscribe, share with your friends, tell them to share with their friends. Thank you all for helping us reach 500. I'm so honored and thrilled that we've reached that mark. Yeah, just stay tuned. We got a lot more for you.
Yeah. Obviously, we don't have Frank with us today for this episode, but Frank echoes the same words. He one of the wrestling channels that he follows, and he's been a guest on Up NXT. He was like, man, we're already at 500 subs. It took them a very long time to reach there. So we really appreciate the support that we've got in such a short time span. It's really special. We love you guys. Thank you so much. The sign off, as per usual, is good night and good luck. Farewell. Toodles. See you later. Love you.